At number 10, Billie Eilish. In recent years, singer Billie Eilish has had a lot of success come her way. After rising to fame in 2015 with her song Ocean Eyes, Billie has since grown to become an award-winning artist, winning multiple Grammy Awards, AMAs, MTV Europe Music Awards, Brit Awards, MTV Video Music Awards, and an NRJ Music Award. But with all that fame comes a lot of pressure, and because she's gained massive fame at such a young age, Billie has struggled with it, even regretting her fame at times. Back in 2019, Billie did an interview where she talked about her life in the public eye and how her career and fame has affected her life, and she spoke out about how there wasn't much in the world that brought her peace, saying that though her life is fun and exciting, she doesn't have much sense of calm in her life. When asked about her sudden rise to fame, Billie spoke out about how her fame has had such a huge impact on her childhood, where she said, quote, "I don't mean this in a necessarily negative way, but I sort of lost my teenage years because this all started when I was 13. There's no training, there's no let me go to a school that's going to teach me how to be famous." End quote. It was almost like she was thrown into the deep end before learning how to swim, and she spent the majority of her teen years navigating herself through all of that, which must have been tough for someone so young to do. She's grown up in front of the prying eyes of Hollywood, and that would freak anyone out. At number 9, FKA Twigs. Singer FKA Twigs has experienced the highs and lows of fame. She rose to fame through her music, but many people know her for her high-profile relationships that she's been in. The singer was previously in a relationship with actor Shia LaBeouf, and she was in the news recently after she filed a lawsuit against the actor, alleging that he hurt her several times throughout the relationship. But before this high-profile relationship, she was dating Twilight star Robert Pattinson, and this relationship caused her to gain widespread attention. Because Robert has such a huge following, some of the attention from Robert rubbed off on Twigs, and a lot of the attention she received was negative. In an interview in 2015, the singer spoke out about her experience with fame in regards to her relationship, and she said that she was struggling with the public's perception of her. As soon as they went public with their relationship, Twigs found herself under a spotlight that she wasn't ready for, and when speaking on this, she said, quote, "It's really hard, I can't begin to explain how awful it is. It makes you want to just stop everything sometimes. It makes you want to smash your face into the mirror." End quote. Though she was struggling with the public eye, she did say, however, that it was worth it because she loved Robert so much. Before we carry on talking about the celebrities who hate being famous, why not take a quick moment to leave a like on this video to show your support, and while you're at it, maybe subscribe to the channel as well to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga has always been pretty open with her fans about her life and her struggles. She's an open book when it comes to many aspects of her everyday life, and that includes her career and the fame that comes with it. During an interview with CBS Sunday Morning back in 2016, Gaga spoke out about how her fame has impacted her life, and though she is grateful for the life it's given her, there are a few negative aspects of fame that she isn't a fan of. During the interview, the singer vocalized how being famous impacts your privacy, where she said, quote, "I'm very acutely aware that once I cross that property line, I'm not free anymore. As soon as I go out into the world, I belong, in a way, to everyone else. It's legal to follow me. It's legal to stalk me at the beach. I can't call the police or ask them to leave." End quote. On top of her concerns about her privacy, Gaga has also vocalized how her fame has taken away the freedom to just spark up a normal conversation with someone. The singer said that she missed being able to have conversations with people, as she said, quote, "I miss people. I miss, going anywhere and meeting a random person and saying hi and having a conversation about life. I love people." End quote. At number 7, Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson has had a rocky relationship with fame, and it all started after his career was boosted after the success of the Twilight franchise. Robert has said in interviews that his first unpleasant experiences with fame came from fans, saying that some of them were very intense. In one interview, the actor recalled some creepy run-ins that he has had with fans, as he said, quote, "Suddenly, everywhere I went, people thought they already knew me. They look at a photo of me and think they have a special relationship, a friendship, an affair with me, someone they haven't met their whole life." End quote. Coming out of his initial rise to fame, Robert has said that since gaining so much notoriety, he no longer feels like he has any privacy in his life, as he said, quote, "People were like, it's fine, who cares, they're just photos. They'll say, just live your life, but that's not life for me, if someone's observing it." End quote. To have the world watching you at all times feels like a huge burden, so I don't know how these celebrities do it. At number 5, Macaulay Culkin. Former child star Macaulay Culkin was brought into the spotlight at a very young age. Very early on in his career, the actor reached his peak after the release of Home Alone in the 90s. After that, Macaulay continued to have a pretty steady career. It wasn't until he reached the age of 16 that he decided to take a step back from fame. After getting emancipated from his family, Macaulay went a little little sideways and started getting himself into trouble. After getting into trouble with the law and abusing illegal substances, the actor found himself back in the spotlight again, but this time for his fall from grace. Everyone knew him as the adorable child star from the 90s, and soon his image became tarnished. It wasn't soon after his public downfall that Culkin took a step back from Hollywood once again. Since then, he's decided to lay low and not gather too much attention. He's since referred to his fame as a blessing and a curse, as it got him a lot of success as a child, but he just couldn't handle the fame. Coming into that so early on in your life must really impact the way you grow up, and I couldn't imagine how it would feel to have to deal with the pressures of being a public figure while also trying to come into your own as an individual. At number 4, Daniel Radcliffe. We all know Daniel Radcliffe for his iconic role as Harry Potter, but what we have neglected to realize is that he's been in the public eye since he was a child, and that put a lot of pressure on him from a young age. Kicking off his career as the boy wizard in 2001, he made a lot of money as a star of one of the most successful film franchises of all time. Though he became very rich and successful, Radcliffe has also had his share of scrutiny from the public. All the money and fame that he has acquired can't take away from the struggle Daniel had with fame since being a child. Speaking out about those struggles, Daniel has said, quote, "People will boo you even if you're a child." End quote. Daniel isn't on social media because he chooses to keep that kind of negativity out of his life, and these days things seem to be better for the actor, but for a while he wasn't happy with his place in Hollywood and hated the fame that he has.
In at number 3, Justin Bieber. Although Justin was not a child when he was thrust into the spotlight, he was still very young, and when he gained stardom as a preteen, he reached heights never seen before. Recently, Justin has been vocal about his trouble with fame, and how his insane fame actually made him incredibly lonely. Bieber has also had tons of negative run-ins with the paparazzi that have even turned physical. When speaking about this, Justin said there are people around him constantly, quote, "all the time, and I feel isolated. You're in your hotel room and there are fans all around, paparazzi following you everywhere, and it gets intense. When you can't go anywhere or do anything alone, you get depressed," even saying that he has regretted becoming famous sometimes. In at number 2, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf was a child star who managed to continue his success into early adulthood, but he quickly went off the rails when the fame became too much. Dozens of arrests and social embarrassments have caused LaBeouf to take on some online heat. At one point in 2014, he had enough and announced on Twitter that he was leaving public life. While the actor might still have a profound love for acting, he has expressed his regret for being famous multiple times. He even went so far as to wear a paper bag that had, quote, "I'm not famous anymore," written on it at a red carpet. Another time was in 2015 when he told Variety that to be a celebrity is to be, quote, "enslaved." And finally, number 1, Dave Chappelle. When The Chappelle Show first came out in 2003, Dave Chappelle became a famous celebrity overnight, but he ended up leaving the show early and walking away from $50 million just to get out of the spotlight. When talking about the decision to leave, Chappelle said, quote, "Chappelle shows like breaking up with a girl and you still like her, but in your mind you're like, she's crazy, I'm not going back." Apparently fame was a big part of the reason that he left, adding, quote, "Fame is not that kind of scary, but it is. Fame is a horrifying concept when it's aimed at you, you know? At the end of the day, you don't have that much control over it. You just try and conduct yourself as best as you can." Adding that he's much happier now that he took time to rest, develop a relationship with his kids, and live normally outside of the spotlight.
At number 10, Harrison Ford. We all know Harrison Ford as the incredible actor who played Indiana Jones and Han Solo. Harrison Ford rose to fame through portraying those iconic characters and many others, but apparently all the fame he's received is something that Harrison himself isn't a fan of. Turns out the actor hates being famous. In a 2010 interview, Harrison spoke out about his rocky relationship with fame, saying how greatly it has affected his life and in such a negative way. The actor has said that his celebrity status has cost him privacy in his life, saying, quote, "There's nothing good about being famous. You always think if I'm successful then I'll have opportunities. You never figured the cost of fame will be a total loss of privacy. That's incalculable." End quote. The actor also talked about how unrealistic the expectations of fame are, saying, quote, "What a burden that is for everybody. It was unanticipated and I never enjoyed it. You can get the table you want in a restaurant, it gets you doctor's appointments, but what's that worth? Nothing." End quote. Harrison ended things by saying that he's only in it for the money, clarifying that acting is his job and that he's not in it for the notoriety. At number 9, Kristen Stewart. Twilight star Kristen Stewart has been acting since she was a kid, but her breakout role came about when the first Twilight film was released. After that, everyone was obsessed with Bella Swan and the actress who played her, but with that obsession and fame came the burden of having such notoriety, and Kristen has spoken out about her struggles with being in the public eye and how negatively it has affected her. In a 2015 interview with Harper's Bazaar, Kristen opened up about her relationship with fame, where she talked about how being famous is, quote, the worst thing in the world, end quote. In the interview, Kristen commented on how at the beginning of her career she used to feel utter panic when getting harassed by paparazzi because she felt a loss of control and that she had to learn how to adapt to her surroundings over time. She continued to say, quote, having that much human energy thrust at you, then being critically analyzed is obviously disarming. Control issues make me so nervous. It's not knowing what's going to happen. So what people were seeing was what happens when you are terrified. My palms sweat, my knees shake, I don't think I can stand in my heels, I'm breathing heavily, I feel nauseous, I'll be so nervous, and then my body creates something to calm me down and I get so tired. The actress also commented on how she thinks fame can be stupid, saying, quote, fame is the worst thing in the world, especially if it's pointless. When people say, I want to be famous, why? You don't do anything, end quote. Before we carry on talking about celebrities who don't like being famous, why not leave a like on this video to help support the channel, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Zach Galifianakis. During a 2014 press conference for the movie Birdman, actor Zach Galifianakis spoke out about his feelings on fame and said that being a celebrity is dumb. This came after the film's cast talked about the notion of being a public figure and having fame, a theme that is consistent throughout the film. When the actor was asked about blurring the lines between performance and reality in the film, Zach began to speak about his own experiences being a celebrity and how he doesn't like it. Zach said, quote, it's dumb, I'm not interested in it. I like to be an actor and that's it. The blurred lines are, I think, man-made. I think celebrity is a man-made thing. It's not innate in us. We have people telling us we should pay attention to these people for the wrong reasons, their personal lives, and that stuff. I'm just being honest. I would rather do my work and go home and watch Lifetime or something. End quote.
And at number 7, Kourtney Kardashian. Now that the Kardashians have reached fame to the likes that we've never seen before, it's understandable that not all members of the family are happy about it. The one member of the family that has been most vocal about her desire to live a normal life is Kourtney, saying in an interview, quote, I don't want the show to end, but I sometimes think I would be so happy if it did and I could just move away from it all. And it's understandable that she feels negatively about it, because it's highly speculated that all the negative attention on her relationship with Scott caused its downfall, because she was the most open about her personal life in the beginning of the show. Because of that sacrifice, she's now the most private Kardashian sister. And at number 6, George Clooney. We all obviously know that George Clooney is a legendary actor, but he keeps his personal life very private because he doesn't like the spotlight. When talking about his struggles with fame, he said, quote, what's the guy in the big house on the big hill got to complain about? The truth is, the big house on the hill is isolating. There's no other way to say it. There are restrictions to this kind of fame. I haven't walked in Central Park for 15 years. I'd like to, you know? In some ways, the star said he feels cheated out of a normal life, and he wants to have more of a normal life. He even recently spoke of how he doesn't have a desire to act much anymore. Halfway at number 5, Megan Fox. Megan Fox has recently been very vocal about her disdain for fame and how negative media treatment made her feel horrible about herself. She became a household name thanks to the Transformers movies, but I knew her first from Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, you know, not to brag or anything. At the height of her fame, she spoke about the downsides. During an interview with Esquire in 2013, she said, quote, I don't think people understand. They all think you should shut the F up and stop complaining because you live in a big house or you drive a Bentley. So your life must be so great. What people don't realize is that fame, whatever your worst experience in high school, when you were being bullied by those 10 kids in high school, fame is that, but on a global scale, where you're being bullied by millions of people constantly. And at the time, whatever misogynistic attention she spoke about was brushed aside, with people essentially hating on her because of her looks. She was out of the spotlight for a long time because of all this, but recently came back to star in her first movie in years.
At number 3, Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway has been so successful in the film industry, starring in all sorts of different films, from The Devil Wears Prada to Les Miserables, but in a 2014 interview, Anne admitted that fame has really affected her for a long time. She opened up about her struggle balancing her life with the widespread fame that she was gaining, where she said, quote, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to engage with it. It stressed me out. And people would say, you just have to be yourself. And I was like, but I don't know who that is yet. End quote. The actress also spoke out about the criticisms that she was facing after her Oscars win for her role in Les Mis, which caused her to take a break from Hollywood. Speaking on this, Anne said, quote, my impression is that people needed a break from me. End quote. Acting is just her job, and fame is just a side effect of what she does for a living, adding to the pressures of her craft. At number 2, Amanda Bynes. Former child actor Amanda Bynes grew up in the spotlight, and between the pressure of having grown up a celebrity combined with her public breakdown, it's no wonder that she decided to leave the industry after her fame became too much to handle. In the past, Amanda has spoken out about the times that she felt anxious about her Hollywood career, but in an interview with Paper Magazine, she opened up about the very moment that she decided to quit acting altogether, and this was after she watched her performance in the movie Easy A. Amanda told the publication, quote, "I literally couldn't stand my performance in that movie. I didn't like my performance. I was absolutely convinced that I needed to stop acting after seeing it. I was high when I saw it, but for some reason it started to really affect me. I don't know if it was a substance-induced psychosis or what, but it affected my brain in a different way than it affects other people. It absolutely changed my perspective of things." End quote. After making the decision to retire from acting, Amanda took to Twitter to tell the public about her plans to leave Hollywood. Although she says that she hopes to one day return to acting, she's also content with living her simpler life away from Hollywood. There was just too much pressure from Hollywood and having all eyes on her, so she had to leave it all behind to feel better about herself again. And finally, at number 1, Jack Gleeson. After gaining fame from starring as Joffrey Baratheon in Game of Thrones, actor Jack Gleeson decided to take a step back from acting and leave Hollywood. Though he was grateful for the experience of being a part of such a huge show like Game of Thrones, Jack told sources that the large amount of fame that comes with the job just wasn't something that thrilled him. Going in depth about his thoughts on his place in the public eye, he told sources, quote, "It was always a recreation beforehand, but when I started doing Game of Thrones, perhaps the reality was made too real for me. The lifestyle that comes with being an actor in a successful TV show isn't something I gravitate towards." End quote. Jack even made the point to not watch his own performances on TV because of how maniacal his character was, as he said, quote, "You tend to abstract yourself from the creepiness of it when you're playing it, but when you see it on television, it sends shivers down my spine." End quote. Since leaving the industry, Jack has gone to college and has a goal of helping relief efforts for those in Haiti who are affected by the 2010 earthquake.
And at number 8, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is one of the most well-known actors ever, as he's been acting for decades. But he often has difficulty with the fame. In one interview, he said fame is, quote, "a little bit like living like a fugitive. Everything has to be some sort of strategy to get you into the hotel, to get you out of the hotel, to get you into a restaurant, to get you out of the restaurant." And in a 2011 interview with Larry King, Depp said that being a celebrity makes him, quote, "very uncomfortable," adding, quote, "I don't think it's anything you ever get used to. For many years, I could never sort of put my name in the same category as the word famous or anything like that, and because of all this, he decides to be incredibly private about his life online."
At number 7, Gigi Hadid. A lot of people think that being a celebrity would grant you all of these amazing perks, and you would have so many friends because of it, but apparently that's not exactly true, and being a celebrity can actually be a pretty isolating experience. At least that's what supermodel Gigi Hadid has said in regards to fame. During a 2019 interview with Elle magazine, Gigi said that because of her work, she's lost a lot of friends. Speaking on this, Gigi said, quote, "I've lost a lot of friends because I'll get busy for a short period of time and they're not reaching out, but if I don't reach out, then it's like I've changed." She said that because her work is so demanding, a lot of people don't understand how taxing it can really be, and so when she disappears for work for a little while, some people just don't wait for her to return and just move on. To further explain her struggles with keeping her social and work life in check, Gigi said, quote, "There are people who understand that I love them and know that when I get back to town I'm going to call them, but sometimes I can't call every day because I'm in weird places. Because a lot of the time I feel suffocated by my own work ethic and by the expectations I put on myself. It's really nice when you have people who say, it's okay, take time for yourself." End quote. At number 6, Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner is no stranger to the paparazzi. After the rise of sister Kim Kardashian in the media, a new spotlight began shining on the Kardashian-Jenner family. In 2007, taping of the reality show Keeping Up with the Kardashians began, and Kylie was only 10 years old at the time. Having cameras around you 24/7 and growing up with the spotlight on you like that must be incredibly difficult to manage. Kylie, having grown up so publicly, has since shown her distaste for fame. She's vocalized her anxiety when it comes to the press, saying that she wakes up every morning feeling anxious because she thinks that a bad story is going to come out about her. She's been living with such paranoia for years, and it's really not fair that she was thrown into this lifestyle and just had to learn how to navigate it at such a young age. She became famous just because she was related to someone famous. She never really asked to have the spotlight put on her, but that's just something that she has to deal with on a daily basis. Kylie even hid from the world for months during her first pregnancy because she wanted to experience her pregnancy without the world watching. Seems to me that Kylie really just wants to be a normal person. At number 5, Zayn Malik. Known for his iconic part in the former boy band One Direction, Zayn was known to have his fair share of grievances when it came to his fame. After leaving the group in 2015, Zayn went on to tell sources that he came to the realization that he just didn't want to be famous, and that he's lost a lot of people close to him because of his place in Hollywood. Zayn really just didn't like living in the public eye, and so he quit his job over it. Although Zayn decided to begin a solo career, many seem to believe that even that was too much for the singer. After the release of Pillow Talk, Zayn followed up with a number of cancelled appearances and performances, leading people to believe that he is still not up for the spotlight just yet. At number 4, Carrie Henn. Starting a career in Hollywood at a young age doesn't seem like it would be very easy. For a lot of former child stars, they say that they regret getting into the industry when they were so young because it made growing up very difficult for them. Though some stick around in the industry for the long haul, many others quit early on, and this is what happened to actress Carrie Henn. Carrie was cast as Newt in the movie Aliens, but after filming it, she decided that she couldn't handle the pressures of Hollywood anymore. Years after the hit film came out, Carrie did an interview to catch fans up to speed on what she's been doing and why they left Hollywood, where she said that she just didn't want to be away from her family. Carrie eventually got into the field of education and occasionally signs copies of the movie for her students, which is pretty cool. At number 3, Jake Lloyd. Sometimes all it takes is one bad experience to change our perspective on a situation. This is pretty much what happened with actor Jake Lloyd after starring as young Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Jake was only 8 years old when he started the film, and you would think that as a kid he would bask in the fame he was receiving. So many kids these days want to be famous, and Jake probably thought the same thing, but when the praise for the film turned to hate towards the actor, that's when he reconsidered his place in Hollywood. The actor said that this experience turned his childhood into a quote, living hell, end quote. Jake recalled how kids would make fun of him at the time and how insanely busy he was back then, having to do up to 60 interviews a day. He eventually decided to retire from acting because he was no longer able to fit in, and it took a big toll on him. Jake's case here is a perfect example of the darker side of being a celebrity and fame that most people don't acknowledge enough. At number 2, Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig is the latest person to take up the role of James Bond, but apparently the actor wishes he never took up the role. The actor is very vocal about how much he hates playing James Bond, and when promoting the movie Skyfall in 2012, he really let his feelings about the role be known, as he said, quote, "I've been trying to get out of this from the very moment I got into it, but they won't let me go. I've agreed to a couple more," end quote. He has a love-hate relationship with the fame that this film franchise brought him, and he's fed up with the whole thing at this point. Back in 2015, during the release of the next Bond movie Spectre, Daniel got even more heated when talking about his famous role when he said, quote, "At this moment, no, I have a life and I got to get on with it," end quote. He also went on to say that he would, quote, "rather break this glass and slash his wrists than be in another Bond movie." It looks like Daniel just wants to take a step back from all of this for a while after being so immersed in it for so long. And finally, at number 1, Daniel Day-Lewis. If you're familiar with who actor Daniel Day-Lewis is, then you know that this is one incredibly talented guy. Well, unfortunately, Hollywood won't be able to bask in his talent any longer, as he made the decision to quit Hollywood and has retired from acting. This came after he was left feeling underwhelmed after making the movie Phantom Thread. In this film, Daniel played a fashion designer who made couture dresses for people in high society. To prepare for this role, he became an apprentice to the costume designer for the New York City Ballet and even recreated a Balenciaga dress. Needless to say, he prepared heavily for this role. When all was said and done, however, Daniel was left feeling sad and underwhelmed with the film. When he explained his feelings towards his retirement, it almost sounded as though he's lost the enjoyment of acting, as he told sources, quote, "I've been interested in acting since I was 12 years old, and back then, everything other than theater, that box of light, was cast in shadow. When I began, it was a question of salvation. Now I want to explore the world in a different way," end quote. Daniel is now living a more private life away from Hollywood and is happy to give up his fame for a more fulfilling life away from the spotlight and the hype of Hollywood.